Hello, it is Thursday, the 20th of October 2022. We are inching ever closer to Halloween, so I thought I'd take a look at a couple of Laserdiscs for seasonally appropriate movies. So here we go. Right, so this is a Laserdisc for William Friedkin's The Exorcist, based on the novel by William Peter Blatty. The movie's from 1973, and this is a Warner home video release. It's got that uniform sleeve design that Warner's had for a lot of their releases back in the day. There is actually no date for when this release... there's no date on the sleeve for this release. It does say 1979, but that's the copyright for the summary, which I believe is for the was done originally for the VHS release. This isn't from 1979. I mean, the Laserdisc format, as I understand it, wasn't even invented until 1978, and then it was sort of launched in 1981. I did some research online, and I believe this Laserdisc actually dates from 1983, which, so it's a pretty good-looking release. It's kind of, employs that famous minimalist poster from the movie's original ad campaign. You can't really beat that image of Father Merrin. I mean, there have been some latter day DVD and Blu-ray releases of The Exorcist that go for different shots, like whether it's Linda Blair as Reagan or a shot of the infamous footsteps outside the house, and it just doesn't work. You have to go with that classic iconic shot of Father Merrin. I'm sort of hoping to get my hands on a copy of An Exorcist II: The Heretic Laserdisc, which Warner's also released back in the 80s. But I think that one, I don't know if if Exorcist II actually got a widespread release. I think it might have only have been in Japan, as far as I can see. But I'm not entirely sure. I mean, why should I? Like, it's not like I'm some sort of guy that wrote a book on Exorcist II or anything. How can I be expected to know these sorts of things? But yeah. And here is another classic horror movie that was released by Warner Home Video. If you notice my my hand sort of wobbling, it's because this is actually a really heavy release. So this is The Shining, of course, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining from 1980. This Laserdisc is from 1981. So I just love these these sleeve designs. I mean, they just have such a classic retro cool look. It's just, I don't know. I'm a nerd. What can I say? Right, I'm going to open this up because this is a Japanese release, and it's actually really, really good. It's so first of all, here we go. I'll try not to crease. Get out of there. Right. So first of all, this is the insert, which is almost entirely in Japanese. So yeah, that's pretty good looking. And so, I mean, look at that. That is just great. Right. And this version of The Shining is actually, it is the full North American version of the film, the duration. There's two. I mean, basically, there are two main cuts of The Shining. There was the North American version, which was about 140 minutes. Make sure that doesn't come out. And then there was a shorter version that was released in many international territories, which was 120 minutes, so roughly 20 minutes shorter. The shorter version of the film is the one that was released in Australia. So for years, that was the only version of The Shining I'd ever seen. It was the only version you could get on video and in initial DVD releases. And then years later, well, actually no, I got the full version as an import, but that's the version that's sort of become the standard. Like if you like these days in Australia, if you get The Shining, like latter day releases of The Shining on DVD or Blu-ray, it tends to be the longer version, which is good because the longer version I feel is better. Like after I saw the long version for the first time, it's like I couldn't go back to watching the shorter version. There were just too many scenes and dialogue, things that I would miss. I am very lucky because I did get to see back in 2009 in Texas. I went to a screening of The Shining, and it was the full 140-minute version. I keep saying 140 minutes. It's sort of 143 minutes. So yeah, close enough. A few years ago, there was a screening of The Shining here. And they didn't advertise. They didn't specifically say it was the long version, but the running time they advertised was the 143 minutes. So I went to that screening thinking that was the version I was going to get, and no, it was a shorter one. It was the 120-minute one, and which kind of annoyed me. But yeah, so I've never the Exorcist I've seen on the big screen, but I've only seen the 2001 the alternate cut that William Friedkin prepared, and I much preferred the original theatrical version, the 1973 version, which seems to be rarer these days. And I'd love to go to a screening of that version of the film, the original one that scared the crap out of audiences back in 1973. But remains to be seen if that will ever happen. So yeah. Two great classic movies, both released by Warner Brothers, both with Krzysztof Penderecki on the soundtrack, incidentally. Great composer. So, yeah, what can you say? Classic movies, obsolete format. Happy days.